how to surround yourself with winners and use it to your advantage to become the best version of yourself. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Russelle. I'm the founder of a company called Actualize, where we help you build real brotherhood and become your best self. And over the last 6 months, we have launched this new element of our business, which was prior to a coaching offer, and now it is fully shifted into a community. And so in this video, I want to walk you through what I've personally experienced in increasing my network and increasing the group of guys that are around me, and what that has allowed me to do personally, but also what I've seen it do for other guys in the community. We have, we're just about to crack 120 members inside the community, just in the Toronto chapter. And then I'm in Vancouver, BC right now, launching the Vancouver chapter. And so I have been seeing a lot of this go on very recently. And so this topic is very timely for me. And I truly think if you want to become the best version of yourself, you must surround yourself with winners, with guys that are going to push you, that are going to support you along the journey. And so I'm going to break down, first and foremost, kind of like the high level of what is the real importance of stepping into a group of guys that are going to push you, that are aligned with you, and what benefits come with that. I'm also going to talk about the dangers of not having that and where the limitations come, because there's some positives. There is some benefits to playing the lone wolf game. I played it for the first part of my life, and I did just fine. However, I saw limitations. I saw where I was lacking. I saw where I couldn't step above as a result. And then actually walking you through what I would do if I were you to find guys that can push me, that can expand what's possible for me and be around winners, okay? So, the truth is that we are hardwired to be in a tribe. We are hardwired to have people around us at all times. We're social creatures, hence why we build cities, hence why, family is such a strong part of what we do. We're not the society that, gets raised in a family and then leaves the family, okay? We are hardwired to be in tribes, first and foremost. Now, Abraham Maslow, who my business is genuinely built off of his work, came up with this thing called the hierarchy of needs, okay? Needs, and there's 5 rungs. The third rung, after the basics of security, food, water, shelter, is belonging, and sense of belonging, and connection. Now, there's 3 main buckets that I've broken this down into. There's intimacy, like with an intimate partner. There's your family dynamic, and then there is your social connections, okay? And within social, you have a few different things, but the way I see it for men is you have your brothers. And within your brothers, you have guys ahead of you that can show you the way, mentors. You have guys at your same level, so peer-to-peer. And then you have guys below you that you can turn around and start to provide back and feel like you've learned something, that you've earned the right. And there's, more nuances to that. But nonetheless, it is hierarchy of needs. Maslow theorized, and this is, if you see it, it's very true, and hence why we're in the state we're in with men. You need, it's a nice to have, you need a sense of belonging, a sense of connection, and people around you to feel like you can step into the best version of yourself. Because the top rung of his needs is self-actualization, the need to self-actualize, to fulfill your full potential. It is a need deep within us. So if that is true, you must then fulfill the bottom rungs to get to the top rung. And so, if you want to step into the best version of yourself, and you buy into the concept of self-actualization, becoming all that you can be is a need, then going off of what Maslow talked about, you must have that sense of belonging. You must have that social circle to allow you to propel you into the higher stages. Simple as that. Now, what are the actual benefits that come along with it besides like the literal like biological restraints that we face as a tribe or as a social creature that needs connection? Well, listen, when you're around a group of guys that are further along than you and peer-to-peer, you feel first and foremost more connected, as we just spoke about, okay? That's super important. When you feel more connected, that is the opposite of things like depression, things like anxiety, things that are emotions that fall on the negative side of the scale. Because it's very hard to feel bad about yourself and your circumstance when you're constantly around others, because there's gonna be a good group of those guys that you're around, that you're speaking to, that has their bar a little bit higher, their energy level a little bit higher that day or that week or whenever you hang out with them, okay? And so when you feel more connected and you're around other guys, it's harder and harder to stay in lower vibrational states, to stay in negative states, which means you can snap out of these ruts that if you're by yourself, you could stay in for days and weeks and literal months on end. But when you submit yourself to a group of guys, their energy balances you out. And then if you surround yourself with a really good group of guys, they will call you out on this behavior. If they constantly see you slipping, if you made a commitment to the group or to one of the guys and they know that, and again, when you're around a great group of guys, they will call you out on that, and they will know, they will remember that you made this commitment. And that's what a characteristic of a great group of guys is that you tell them something, you make a pre-commitment to them, hey guys, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and you don't do it. A great group of guys will call you out on that. And you want to seek that first and foremost. You wanna be around guys that are willing to call you out and not just, roll their eyes or glance the other way when you don't show up the way you said you were going to show up. So you have your connections. When you feel more connected, it's harder to stay in negative vibrational states, because both when you have a sense of connection, it is fulfilling that void that we all need, but then also by being around those guys, the likelihood that someone else is at 100, is at 90 when you're at 50 is very high. And so you are gravitating, you're getting pulled up by the average of the group. Again, you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. Very true. And then on top of that, you will be called out in a great group of guys when you aren't showing up as your best. And I'm going to talk more about how to foster that in your group if you don't have that right now. Now, another benefit to being in a great group of guys and to build brotherhood is network, is resourcing. Everyone in a network has something unique to offer. And depending on the quality of the network, that uniqueness also becomes valuable. Okay, everyone typically has something to offer, but it's not always valuable. But when you're in a great network, a valuable network, the things that are able to be offered are of higher value. And I'll give you an example. I'm currently staying here in Vancouver. When I flew in, I didn't have anywhere to stay. And I message a good brother of mine, Jordan, say, hey brother, can I come stay at your place? Next thing you know, I'm staying at a penthouse in Cole Harbor, 40 floors up, beautiful skyline view of the North Shore of Vancouver, all because he's my brother. We have that connection. And that's a valuable connection because he has valuable resources because he's done the work to accumulate those resources for himself, right? Going one step further, he also introed me to a gym here in Vancouver that allowed us to start running the Sunday clubs, the weekly group workouts that we do. And without that connection, I wouldn't be able to maybe connect with that gym as easily or potentially at all. And so your network over time, if you continue to surround yourself with better and better guys, becomes more valuable, and doors open to things that you otherwise wouldn't have access to without a network. Again, it's a relationship game. It's a relationship game in this world because the world is ran by people still, right? And even when they're ran by AIs, those AIs are owned by people to some degree. And so by having connections, and then you have valuable connections with guys, you open doors that otherwise wouldn't be possible. You get insights to things that otherwise wouldn't be possible. So those, I would say, are some of the major benefits. I'm sure there's more benefits, like the emotional support side of things, etc. But that's why we want Brotherhood. We want to help ourselves be more and more consistent in our pursuit towards our best self. And we do that by having a great group of guys around us that allow us to stay in a higher vibrational state more and more often. And when we're inevitably not showing up as our best self, we have guys that are willing to call us out, willing to check on us because they genuinely care about us, okay? And that might be a foreign concept to some of you. I know it was for me, but you can find a group of guys that genuinely care about you, that if you don't show up as your best, they will ask you what's going on. They will want to help you, just out of the goodness of their heart. And then as you build better and better network, the value of your network goes up, and the easier it is to move through life because the connections and resources that your network has access to, that they're willing to open the door for you, okay? And I'd actually ask you if, as you're listening to this, is there any other connections? Is there any other benefits that you see about having Brotherhood in your life that I haven't talked about here? Now, the dangers is very much the flip. The dangers is life becomes much more difficult because if we start at the back, when you don't have these connections, every time you need to go do something, you have to pay for it. Every time you go to a restaurant, a new city, you go and travel, you got to stand in line. You got to pay top dollar for this. You got to pay top dollar for that. You don't have the insights. So if you want to try to find the insights on something, yes, you're lucky with AI today, but truthfully, the best insights are still with the people that are actually doing it, okay? You got to pay for it if you don't know the people. For example, I'm in a WhatsApp group with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and I'm having issues with my email deliverability. And truthfully, if I didn't have someone, I would have to go and reach out to a company that I don't know and say, hey, guys, I'm having issues with my email deliverability. What can you do? Yeah, sure, we can help you. It's going to be $2,000. It's going to be $5,000. It's going to be whatever, right? Instead, I dropped this message in the WhatsApp group. Within 2 minutes, one of the guys was like, yo, send me your deets, send me your login. Let me look at it completely for free. No worries. I got you, brother. Just saved myself potentially $5,000 to deal with this. I would have had to pay a consultant, etc. So you have to pay, and the danger of this is that you will move slower through life, and it will be much more expensive and frictionful, and it will feel like the world is just fucking constantly pulling from you. You do anything, you gotta pay for it, okay? The second thing, and truthfully the more important piece, because again, I believe there's no free lunches, but the more important element to this is you're disconnected. You're coming from a place of isolation constantly, and so you at all times are having to be your own support network while trying to support yourself, or while trying to live your life. And so when you're inevitably down, okay, say you're at a 50%, say you're at a 40% that day, you need to support yourself through the lens of being at 40%. How are you supposed to do that? Einstein, I think it was Einstein, talked about this idea that you can't solve a problem at the same level that the problem occurs. And so if something comes up for you and you get stuck, you're in a mental rut, how are you gonna come out of that mental rut and then help yourself solve for it? It's very difficult. It's doable, but it's very difficult. And And given that these options are available to us to have guys that are outside of our world come in and be able to help us through these things, why wouldn't you have that? But that is a danger, is that you, when in isolation, when you are in a rut, and when you're first starting out on your self-development journey, you will get in ruts, and you will get in many ruts, and those ruts do not end. Okay, both in terms of them continuing to come up, new levels bring new devils, but also when you're first starting, they are long. They last a long time because you do not have the support network, one, and the resources and tools and mental frameworks to jump out of it in an advanced way, to look down on it and solve for it. Fortunately, this truck is going off. And so in isolation, you need to become your own support network, because you do need support. And you are silly to think that you don't need support. Every human needs support, especially when you're trying to break free from the average, especially when you were trying to grow and literally carve a path for yourself that you've never done before. You need support. And so why not have a great group of guys around you? So that's one of the other dangers. And the other part of it, or the downside, I wouldn't call this a danger, is it's going to take you much, much, much longer to do anything in life. Now, with the advent of the internet and AI, like, you can bypass this, but when you aren't around guys, you do not get the mistakes and successes of what they're doing from you to learn from. Again, you can get that in mentorship via parasocial relationships, on social, on YouTube, on books. That's how largely I learned. And it was much harder than if I just sat down with one of the guys and he'd done what I'm trying to do. I'm like, hey bro, like, I'd love to understand how you did this and this. What mistakes came up for you? How can I avoid them? So you will take much longer and it will be more frictionful. Again, the world has evolved from that. We've gotten so far away from mentorship and apprentices and being under someone's wing to learn from, and being around a group of guys to watch and observe, because we've become so disconnected in such a connected world. And so those are some of the dangers and downsides of not having a great group of guys around you. Now, there's one final one that really just wraps everything up. It is the most important one out of all of them. That is knowing what is possible. That is believing what is possible. What do I mean by that? We see this all the time at Sunday Club. Again, it's a hard group workout with a bunch of guys, and then we mastermind afterwards. And the number one thing I see, without fail, when guys first show up to Sunday Club, and they don't have a ton of experience working out, they don't have a ton of experience doing group workouts, is they didn't believe there was another level above their intensity of working out when they were by themselves. They didn't even know that they could work out that hard. They didn't even know what their fucking ceiling was when it came to working out, because they weren't around guys that was farther ahead of them when it came to specifically fitness and intensity in the gym. Now, that shows up in every area of your life. Beliefs run the world. And if you're around a group of people that are constantly thinking small, believe you can only make 50 grand a year, believe 6 figures is a huge income, believe that the world is negative and everyone's out to get them, whatever the belief is of your group, that is going to be the belief that you're going to hold, unless you're willing to break out of it, or unless you can break out of it. When you're around a great group of guys that have a mix of peer-to-peer, people on your level, and guys a few steps ahead of you, hopefully even 10, 20, 100 steps ahead of you, your belief on what's possible starts to change. Specifically, what's possible for you. Because in the internet, we have access to see what's possible. We have access to see who Jeff Bezos is, who Elon Musk is, who the influencer is that has the Lambo, the drop shipping guru, that has the Lambo, living in the Miami penthouse at 22. We can see that. But that doesn't increase our belief the same way having a guy in front of us in real life that we gotta shake their hand and say, I know this guy. I know this guy and I see this guy. And when you are around these guys and you know them, it is very different than seeing the Elon Musks and the drop shipper at 22 in the Miami fucking penthouse. And we don't recognize how important knowing someone is on our belief on what's possible for us. We can believe that it's possible to become a billionaire because we see it. But do we believe that it's possible for us? And when you have a great group of guys around you that you can shake their hand, you can rub shoulders with them, not rub their shoulders, rub shoulders with them, be in the same rooms as them, go and work out with them, see that they're just like you. They've just made a couple different decisions in their life, which has resulted in getting, the next level of income, getting the six pack, getting the woman, being spiritually aligned, whatever that is for you that you don't believe you could do for yourself, but you know it to be true. But you're like, I know people can do it, but I don't think I could do it. But when you're around these guys in person, shaking hands, becoming friends with them, you believe it's possible for you. Your belief level on what's possible for you goes up. It expands. It becomes more abundant. And the more guys you have in your network in a wider range of accomplishments at different stages, the more your belief goes up and the more certain you are that's like, this can happen for me. I know this can happen for me. Look at all my friends. And this is where it becomes the statement or the analogy is so true. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You're around 5 millionaires, you become the 6. You're around 5 smokers, you become the 6. And it starts with belief. And yes, there's elements of environment to it, etc., but you see what's possible and then you buy into that way of being. And when you aren't around these people, your belief goes down. And down and down and down and down until you don't believe that you can do anything because the people around you are telling you, you can't do anything. I can't do anything. Look at me, I only make 50 grand a year. How are you supposed to make $1 million? You can't. Oh, you know what? You're right, I can't. So, how do you do it? How do you surround yourself with great guys that are gonna give you that social connection, check the box off on Maslow's hierarchy of needs that you can ascend up, have the great group of guys around you that are gonna call you out, gonna hold you accountable, gonna lift you up, allow you to become more and more consistent, because when you're at 10%, they're at 100, and when you're at 100, they're at 10, and you support each other and make sure that you're good over the long term. How do you get around guys that are actually valuable, that are gonna give you great insights, provide great resources, give you that emotional connection? And how are you gonna surround yourself with guys that are gonna open up your belief level on what's possible for you? Well, the number one thing I can say that's changed for me, and over the first 3 years of running my business, what started out as a coaching business for entrepreneurs and sales guys, and now is this community, is I became interesting and valuable. I had interesting things to offer the world, and I became interesting. And then I became valuable. I became someone that was worth knowing. When I entered the room, I had something to offer that the other guys found valuable. That when I left the room, they said, damn, Cam's a cool guy. I learned something, or I feel great hanging around him. You know, I enjoyed myself, whatever it is. Again, valuable is very subjective. Value is subjective. But you need to be valuable to the people around you. Again, that can be emotional connections. That can be resources and assets that you provide them. That can be guidance and mentorship. That can just be emotional support. But you need to be able to have some value when you're in these rooms. So the meta here is be fucking interesting and have something of value to provide. Now, if you're a 17-year-old, 16-year-old watching this and you just starting your self-development journey and you're like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to provide? Nothing. You don't have anything to provide, and that's okay. Because every man, every boy, has to start out somewhere, and you'll typically start out on the mentee, the apprentice side of things, with blank slate. But you can, if you're in this position, provide them one thing. One thing, if you have no other skill, you have nothing going on, here's one thing that you can provide them. Your attention, your listening, and most importantly, your coachability, your willingness to learn and your willingness to accept change. Because when I step into a room as a 16-year-old that knows nothing, I can't provide fucking shit for that 22-year-old that's making millions, or the 27-year-old that just exited his business, or whatever that is, whatever it is, Maybe it's just a 27-year-old that's jacked and you want to learn how to get jacked. And you enter the room with him and you see him, you're like, I want to know how to fucking get jacked. But I don't feel like I can provide anything, so I'm not gonna ask. I feel like I'm mooching. The right guys that have those things, they want to turn around and give information. They want to give the path for the younger version of themselves, and you embody the younger version of themselves. So if you come to them and you say, Cam, I'm 16 years old, look at me, I'm fucking skinny as shit, I want to get in the gym. What do I do? 10 times out of 10, I want to help you out. I want to be able to provide the solutions that I didn't have when I started, that I have since figured out. Now, how you become valuable is you fucking listen. You pay attention and you do at least something based off of what they said. You take action and you go back to them and say, hey Cam, based off of your advice, based off of the time and energy that you shared with me in that moment 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, this and this and this I took action on, and these are my results, and thank you. And when you do that, you just became valuable to them because you made them feel good. You were an emotional connection for them. That is how, if you have nothing else to offer, is how you walk into a room and you become valuable to someone. Is that you show them that you care about what they have to say, and what they have to say is valuable, and the information they have works, and you're gonna go and take action on it and be a case study for them. Whether they're a coach, whether they're whatever, we as humans feel good when we see our efforts being acted upon, being utilized. And so that's number one. If you have nothing else to offer, whenever you go into a room with these people that you want to connect with and you want to be around, oh, and by the way, when that happens, guess what? I want to see you again. I want you in my circle. You need anything else? Oh, fuck, this guy takes action on my shit. I feel good about that. That's sick. Now I can go say, hey guys, like look at a 16-year-old that came up to me and got advice. Now look at him, he's fucking jacked. Look at that, wow. Again, it's selfish on my end, right? But that's just how humans work, and you play the game. So that's how, if you have nothing else to offer, that's where you start. Now, if you're along the way, and you have skills, you have whatever, like be selfless in your giving when you meet these people. But more importantly, just like the first guy, when you first step into the rooms, read the fucking room. How can you make them feel important? Again, a great book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And one of the things is active listening. Asking great questions. You can make someone feel like the most fucking important person in the world by having a great conversation with them, not through speaking to them, but by asking great questions and being an attentive listener and making them feel heard and seen. And in today's world, men do not have enough of that. They are not understood enough, they're not seen, and they're not celebrated. And I want you to do those three things. I want you to see them, really fucking look at them, give them your full presence. Don't be on your phone while this guy's trying to fucking talk to you. Be in full presence. Understand him, and then celebrate him. You know, one of my favorite things to do when I meet like, you know, a big influencer or celebrity, anytime that comes across, and I do this with all people that I meet, but that I find that I have a lot of respect for, but especially for guys like that, I know their story. You know, I'm not gonna go fangirl them or whatever. I just go up to them and say, hey, listen, man, like, I just have so much respect for what you're doing. I just want to celebrate you and the efforts that you put in and what you've built for yourself and the impact that you've had in your circle and your followership and your community. Appreciate it, bro. Like, keep doing the good work. That's it. That's it. Celebrate them. Not enough people get celebrated. Even at the top, they don't get celebrated because it's not coming from a genuine place. So they don't take it. So, when you get in these rooms, give them your attention, okay? Next, if you have something to offer, do not hold back. Make it a fucking win-win. Give them everything you got and show them you're of value. All right, but you first need to be of value, but show them you're of value. And help out any way you can. Provide resources, provide a connection. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm with these people for the first time that I want to build a relationship with, I'm waiting for an opportunity to connect them with someone. Man, oh dude, you would be so fitted to meet this person. Or it's like, oh man, you're looking for this? Like, I actually know a guy back in so-and-so. Let me intro you. Get on my phone right then. Put them in a group chat. Hey brother, we want you to meet Jordan. Jordan's got X and Y going on. We were just chatting about this and this. I think you guys would be a great fit. Easy. Doesn't cost you fucking shit. But you gotta have a network, okay? But it's like, where can you provide someone value in that first interaction? You know, I started my coaching business and I started to get known more and more for being like the health guy and the performance guy. I would try to have a bit of a coaching conversation with some of the initial guys, especially when I was hanging around these entrepreneurs. We would get into the conversation and I would try to leave there with giving them some sort of insight on what I see is missing in their life that they could go and make change. And the amount of times that I've done that and then they message me back and say, hey bro, I tried this, this, and this, fucking game changer. Thank you so much. Boom, value. And when you're around great guys, they will go take action. When you're around any players, they will go and take the action with what you provide them. So how can you be of value? Where are you showing up? When I wasn't doing coaching, what I was doing was sales. And what I found and how I became valuable to a lot of guys early on was I had a sales skill set that not a lot of people had. In the sales world, sure, like I wasn't anything crazy, but when I wasn't around salespeople, I was very valuable. And I recognized it. And when I was around entrepreneurs and I was around, founders, I would try to, have that conversation just like I did with health. Yeah, what are you doing for sales? How's that going? Gotcha. Have you considered this, this, this? And even if I could just give them one little change, value. So wherever your skill set is, as niche as it is, as broad as it is, whatever it is, like, how can you go in and provide some sort of value? And again, it doesn't always have to be advice, but it could be information, it could be advice, it could be emotional support, it could just be listening, having them feel understood, seen, and celebrated, because a lot of guys are missing that. Maybe you have resources and assets to provide, but provide with open arms, okay? So that's number one. When you get in these rooms, when you get the opportunity, fucking show up. Don't be on your phone. Don't be fucking around. That is how you build the initial connection. Now, going one step back, a connection versus a facilitated relationship, very different. And so, what you need to understand is if you actually want these guys to become someone that you hang around more and more often, and that you're friends with, and that you actually have connection with, beyond just meeting them one time, you need to facilitate the relationship. Now, I could make a whole video just on this, and we're going 34 minutes in here, but I'm gonna continue to kind of go down this path so you get the rough idea, and we'll do more videos on it. You need to hang out with someone. I don't know what the actual number is, but I'm just gonna spitball based off my experience. Probably about 4 times, I would have to say, before it really feels like a real friendship that's gonna have like sustainability and depth, and longevity is the word I was looking for. So in the timeline between the fourth connection, let's call it, to you just meeting, you need to find ways to bring them back into your world or put yourself into their world. And it's going to be unique for everyone, but one of the ways that I've been able to do it, and we were talking about this at some of the first Sunday clubs, is hosting your own events in meetups, big or small. They don't have to be anything crazy, in which you invite these people out. Now, what is this doing? You're being of value, especially if you have a good event and you bring other guys out. But even if it's a run club, or not even a fucking run club, it's just a run. And you normally go run on yourself. Hey man, you wanna come running with me? The last thing you're gonna do, I'm just gonna fucking stop here, is ask them to go for coffee and I wanna pick your brain. Hey bro, it was great meeting you, I'd love to pick your brain sometime. No one wants their brain picked, bro. But if you're like, yo, I'm going for a workout, right? I'm hitting this. I'd love to come. I had a sick workout. Like, you know, you want to come for a workout? Invite 2 or 3 guys. One guy's going to come out. Boom. Another interaction. Now you're doing something useful. Actually, a friend of mine here in Vancouver, Ollie, he said, men don't like to just sit face to face and talk. They like to do something together, right? They like to do something together. And so going and doing things like a run, like going for a run, going for a workout, going for even a walk is better than fucking sitting down and having coffee with one another, right? Host something. And again, this could be as simple as, I'm gonna go for a run, I'm gonna invite 5 or 6 guys. Hey man, you guys wanna come for a run with me, okay? It could be as simple as that. 2, a dinner. A dinner is great. You can host a dinner. Hey guys, I'm planning this dinner. I'd love for you guys to come out. You know, so-and-so is gonna come, so-and-so is gonna come. It's gonna be great, all right? That's how I really started to network with some of these guys, is I met them, and then I found opportunities to invite them back into my world 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And now all of a sudden, we got the opportunity to build real relationships with one another that allowed us to get a connection worth holding on to. Because they understood who I was now, I understood who they were, and we invested time into each other. So finding ways to make those touch points go up. And this could be as simple as following each other on Instagram and then sending them, you know, a valuable reel that you saw based off of the conversation that you had, okay? Like, it can be fucking anything, but build opportunities where you can reach back out to them meaningfully and have more and more interactions. But in person is always better, right? So once you have the connection, you need to facilitate the relationship, because if you just have the connection, it doesn't mean fucking shit. You need to keep them in your world. You need to be in their world more and more and more, and then you will start to be invited out to their stuff. Okay, that's how I cracked into Vancouver. I didn't know fucking shit. I didn't know anyone here. Okay, but I somehow managed to fucking, and I get goosebumps just like thinking about how proud I am of my younger self for doing this. I went from not knowing a single person here to knowing some of the top young entrepreneurs in all of Vancouver. Knowing the guys. I'm staying at one of theirs fucking penthouse here in Cole Harbour. How is that possible? I didn't know anyone here. It's because I built the connections, and then I brought, like Jordan, for example. I brought him out to a dinner. We shook hands, we had a great time. He came to my dinner. I filled it with 18 other entrepreneurs. He had an amazing time. And now we had that connection. And then I asked him to do a podcast. Podcast is another really great one. Even if you don't do anything with a fucking podcast, it's an opportunity to have a connection, get some meaningful conversation with the people. We did a podcast up at his place. By the end of that, the opportunity to help him out with his Notion build came up. And next thing you know, I'm helping him over a 30-day sprint completely rebuild his Notion for his company that they now use as their entire fucking organization, for their entire organization. And he constantly tells me, dude, this thing's the fucking best thing ever. Again, I became valuable, I became interesting, I did the skills and the work beforehand, so in that moment, I had the opportunity to provide the value, the thing of value, but nonetheless, I'm showing you how this works, okay? I'm showing you that when you get in front of these people, this is what you need to do. And over time, and it takes time, you accumulate. 1 guy, 2 guy, 3 guy, 4 guy. Next thing you know, you have a fucking real group of guys around you that you can lean on, that you can get supported by in different facets. Again, not everyone here in Vancouver knows my situation when I'm fucking down. You know, I can turn to them emotionally and say, hey guys, like, you know, can you help me out here? I'd love to have a conversation. But a lot of them I can. And then the other ones, I would lean on for business resources or connections. And that's the cool thing about a network is when you build a brotherhood of this size, you have like connections in their own unique way. But you need to find them, you need to be of value and of interest, and then you need to facilitate the relationship on your own accord. Take the initiative and try to find ways to connect with them 4 times, okay? That's gonna be the magic number, 4 times. Because that was more or less about what happened with Jordan, for example, okay? Now, where do you find these guys in the first place? I'm gonna go all the way back to the very start. Social media is by far the best way to do it. And your social media doesn't need to be anything crazy. You could just have a good social media. And again, personal branding is so important, guys. Okay, I'm gonna make another video on this because when it comes to relationship building, when someone looks at your social media, it can't just be you drinking with your fucking college buddies or old photos of you when you're fucking 16 and you look like a loser. Okay, get some good photos, post it. You only need 3 or 4 just to have some sort of authority that when other A players look at you, they're like, hey, this guy means business, man. You know, this guy means business. And so for me, I obviously have a good number of followers on Instagram. I have a ton of content that shows my credibility and my deep expertise on certain things. But even if I didn't, and I only had 3 or 4 posts on my Instagram, but I'm on my stories all the time, showing my life, showing that I'm doing cool stuff, showing that I'm up to interesting things. And these guys that we follow each other, before we even follow each other, when I reach out to them and they look at my Instagram and they see, okay, he's got some good photos, he's with, you know, so-and-so, some good authority. And then we connect and I say, hey bro, like, looks like you're in Vancouver, and I'll give you an example of this. Looks like you're in Vancouver, you know, I'd love to connect, X and Y reason, boom, right? But when they reach out to when they look at my Instagram, they're gonna see, is this guy worthwhile reaching out to? Is this guy worthwhile connecting with? And the better your Instagram, the easier it is for them to be saying yes. And if you have stories and you're doing cool stuff, like, it's no different than fucking dating, guys, all right? So one of the fastest ways to connect with these people is through social media, and then eventually you get the opportunity to have more and more connections through the original connections that you have. And that is very much where I'm at right now, is through my business, through my brotherhood, I continue to have more and more doors open to cooler opportunities, cooler connections, so on and so forth. But social media, the example I'm gonna give, when I came out to Vancouver, before Vancouver, I didn't know a single person. I reached out to a number of guys that were in the same industry as me at the time, and I just built relationships online via social media. And then when I came here in Vancouver, I met them in person. And then we became really good friends, and 2 of them actually I became business partners with for a period of time, all right? And then those doors opened to more, and yada, yada, yada. Another example, one of my best friends now, best friends, saw me get reposted by someone on Instagram, and he followed me. And then I saw him, I saw what he was got going on. I reached out to him and was like, hey man, thanks for the follow. Looks like you're in Vancouver. Looks like you're up to some cool stuff. He had some good photos on his Instagram. Good looking dude, drove an Audi, great shape. Would love to get to know you, man. Seems like there's some good connections here. Do you want to go do something? We hang out. I was actually looking to hire him potentially as a sales guy. Ends up not working out in the interim, ended up working out later. But in the meantime, we just got on really well. And we were both looking to do the same things. We were both kind of at the same part of our journey. I was able to help him out with a few things. He was able to help me out with a few things. Next thing you know, we become fucking best friends. We move in together in Vancouver. We traveled the world together. All because of fucking social media and reaching out and finding opportunities to connect and facilitate relationships. So guys, it's not hard. You just need to be interesting. You need to have things of value, and that doesn't need to be anything crazy. That could literally be you being emotional support for someone, being able to see him, giving your full presence, active listening, how to win friends and influence people, and celebrating them. Celebrating is one of the fastest ways to fucking make someone feel good. Give them a genuine compliment. I love using this phrase. Hey man, I just want to celebrate you for X, Y, and Z. Oh, that feels good, man. Genuine, you give them something. Don't say something fake, but when you feel something like, wow, bro, that's impressive. Yo, bro, I just want to celebrate you. Like, that's fucking so sick that you've been able to build this life for yourself. You're 27, you've built this fucking sick, real estate company. Look at this fucking Cole Harbor penthouse that you live in. Bro, shout out, man. Shout out, dude. Like, it's so inspiring to see what you're doing. That's gonna hit. You give them an emotional connection, you make them feel good. Like, I like this Cam guy, okay? One little bonus hack here that came up that I've spread a little bit, and it's a fun thing to do. If you have nothing to offer, even if you have things to offer, this is just a fun hack. Take good photos and videos of people. Learn how to use your iPhone, and when you're out with people and you're in a social setting, whether it's at a dinner, make sure to be the guy that gets the dinner photo. Make sure you get a sick video, low lighting, make it look aesthetic, right? Find ways to capture content of one person or multiple people and then send it to them afterwards. Post it on your Instagram and tag them. Because when you do that, what happens? You are the source of value for that photo. Everyone loves a good photo being taken of them. And if you can snap a good photo, you can snap a good video, that's valuable and it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. So, a little PS hack there. Wrapping all that up. Hopefully you understand the benefits of brotherhood. Hopefully you understand the downsides and why you wouldn't want to do that. The biggest thing in my eyes is raising your belief of what's possible for you, not a belief of what's possible in the world, but being around people that you have genuine connection with, that you want to have, being around people that you have genuine connection with that allow you to raise the belief on what's possible for you. And how do you do that? Well, you find them through places like social media, obviously networking events, but the more important element is when you find them and you're in front of them, you're valuable, just enough to keep the relationship going, and then you gotta connect with them 4 times. That's the magic number, we're gonna call it. And you wanna find ways to do that. How? Runs, dinners, inviting them out to events, sending them reels on Instagram, whatever the fuck it is. Find genuine ways to do it. That's it. 47 minutes is a banger. Hopefully you're sticking around. Shout out. We got more on the way. If there's a specific topic you'd like me to riff on, anything self-actualization, stepping into that best version of yourself, energy, work, and love, I'd love to hear it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.